Using these concepts, we can now take a look at how we can navigate in order to get to the settings panel, which allows us then to customize our particular ISPF setting. The options that we've just taken a look at. In order to get to the settings, we can see that we can just select option 0 here from the primary menu. And when I select that, I can get to my ISPF settings panel. Similarly, I could type in the ISPF command itself, settings, in which case, again, this will take me to my ISPF settings panel. Similarly, we can use the drop-down menus, and in this case here, I can select the menu, select my settings option here, and that will take me there as well. And my fourth choice, in this case, is to use the options drop-down, and from the options, I can select general settings, and that will also take me to my ISPF settings. All of these different ways of navigating are intended to just provide alternatives so that depending on the nature of how you work or what's convenient for you, you have several choices in order to be able to achieve whatever objective you're trying to accomplish within ISPF. The options that we see here involve things like setting the command line at the top or the bottom of the screen, or in another example here is where we can set the tab to our action bar choices. Now, basically, the type of functions that we're dealing with here is we'll use the tab to action bar as an example. In particular, when I move my cursor up to one of the drop-down menu items, when I hit the tab key, you can see that the cursor simply moves right back to the command line. If I wanted to modify that behavior, I can move my cursor down here to the tab to action bar choices, select that option. Once I've selected this, now when I move my cursor up to an action bar, when I hit the tab key, it moves between the different choices that I have. Again, the choice of these kind of options is dependent on how you like to work, what's convenient for you, how would you expect to navigate around the environment. And so people will make their choices based on that particular style that works well with the method that they choose to navigate through ISPF. One of the items that we have available here as well deals with the use of the log or list. And we're just going to use this to illustrate exactly how we can customize some of these drop-downs. In particular, the log and list data sets are used within ISPF so that if we perform a particular action that triggers a log, then it acts as an audit trail so that we can determine what action took place. It can be useful for diagnosing problems or for basically keeping track of various items that we might engage in that warrant being able to keep a record of what was going on. In addition, the list data set is for any time that we want to print something on our current screen, and it will go then into the list data set. These data sets are only created when the particular events occur. And as a result, when we leave ISPF, we have a choice of whether we want to keep them or whether we want to simply get rid of them or how we want to process them. As a result, we can set default actions here so that if I select my log data set, for example, you can see that we have 4 choices in terms of what we want to do, in addition to providing information in the event that we want to physically print the output from the particular log. Now, as I said, these are going to be choices that we have depending on if we choose to keep it or not. In most instances, people will delete them unless they've done something specific that they want to have for review. And then as a result, they would keep them. And you can see we would use option 4, for example, so that we could keep the data set. And then next time we log in, we would get a new data set. And that way we would have the old one to look at. So the options that we're setting here then are going to be what we want those default actions to be. In addition, when we go to log off of the system, one of the things that's going to happen then is that if we've created such an entity, then we're going to be prompted to determine if we want to change our choice. And so we can determine those values, again, once we leave the particular session. So if I simply type in an X to exit here, then you can see that I will simply drop back to the ready prompt because I haven't done anything that would create a log or a list data set. On the other hand, if I come back into ISPF, I can do something like the print command here. And once I do the print command, you can see I have a message in the upper right-hand corner indicating that I physically printed this screen. And so now when I go to exit, I will have created a list data set. And as a result, you can see that my default action here was to delete this data set. So if I want to do something different, then I can go ahead and I can make sure that I set those default options then to reflect what actions I would normally like to take. So that's what the purpose of those settings are.